The results are in! Hey guys, Brian Henney here, and I've got results from last night's presidential primaries. Check it out. Alright, so I'm going to start out here by giving myself a little bit of credit. In my videos yesterday with my predictions, I predicted who I thought was going to win each race, and I got all of them right. But I'm going to take away some of the credit I just gave myself by saying that I did not get any of the margins correct. So, I'll just dive right in as I just showed the results from each of those states. Like I just said, I got all of them right in who I thought would win, but didn't get any of them right on margins. And the ones that I got most wrong were the two states I predicted for Bernie Sanders that ended up going for him. And as I just showed, he ended up winning by a little bit more than I predicted. So I predicted in Idaho that he'd win by about 5 to 10 points, and I predicted what I thought might have been a bit of an optimistic prediction, which was that he would win by close to 20 points in Utah, and he ended up winning by about roughly 60 points in each of them. That's a landslide. That is almost as much as he won in his home state of Vermont, which is much more liberal in general than both Utah and Idaho. So that was a huge win for Bernie Sanders, winning by those margins about 80% in each of those two states. I wasn't predicting anything close to that. I thought about maybe going over 30 for him in Utah, and I thought that was a bit too much, as I said yesterday. But 80% of the vote, it won by 60, and in Idaho the same thing. I was way off on the margin there. I mean, I know they're caucuses, but I mean, they're small states, but those were big wins. Winning by those types of margins, that was surprising, honestly. I was definitely closer, which is kind of funny because I was saying in my video yesterday that I thought Arizona seemed the least predictable, and it ended up being the closest one to what I predicted. Hillary won by just under 20. I predicted her to win by about 10 to 15, so she did a little bit better than my prediction, but it was a little bit closer than the most recent poll had it. And I didn't really fully trust that poll anyway because, I said in yesterday's video, they only were counting 74%, 26% were, I guess, either undecided or what, I don't know. The polling wasn't very good, but it turned out it was closer than I thought it might have been, but it still went about what I expected in Arizona. Arizona went about the same as I expected on the Republican side as well. I said it would be double-digit win for Trump. It ended up being a double-digit win for Trump, a little bit. I didn't give a specific number that I thought he'd hit, but he did win by about 20%, a little over 20. So it didn't really matter. That's why I didn't make a prediction on how much he'd win, because it's not proportional. The fact that he won means it's a winner-take-all state. He got all the delegates. So that's why I didn't make a specific prediction about that, because it really didn't matter how much he won by. But so that one went the way I expected. What I didn't mention about Utah, which I tweeted out last night when I found it out at BF Henney, was that if someone gets the majority of the vote, if one candidate gets the majority of the vote in Utah, it becomes a winner-take-all state. So Ted Cruz ended up getting over 50% of the vote. That means he gets all of the delegates. So if it's under 50%, if no candidate breaks the 50% threshold, then it's proportional. So if he had gotten 45%, Trump got 40%, and Kasich got 15%, just as an example, then it would have been the delegates would have gone out proportionally. But since he got over 50%, he just automatically got all of them. It became a winner-take-all state. I didn't say that yesterday. I didn't know it. I found it out last night. So So he did end up getting all the delegates there. Trump still got more total delegates. He got 58 to Cruz getting 40, and John Kasich got a whopping 0 delegates last night, which, as I predicted, it should lead, reasonably so, to more pressure on him to drop out, considering he's only won one state so far. And I saw earlier, I believe it was yesterday, I saw that, and then considering he didn't win any new delegates, he has less delegates so far than Marco Rubio. Yeah, I don't think he has much of a chance of winning. He might as well drop out. I don't know if he will, but I think it's understandable that some people are going to be calling for that. Even though I'm going to be doing a video later about why it doesn't make sense for the Republicans to try to push him out, among other things in that video. But that's going to be one of the things to talk about. So the biggest winner of the night was Bernie Sanders. Some people may debate whether he was or not. I would say he was. To me, he was for sure the biggest winner. I'm not just saying that because I feel the burn personally, which I do. But that's not why. He won by massive margins. He won more delegates than Hillary Clinton. He won by a larger margin in delegates yesterday than I expected. I thought he would get more delegates slightly, but he ended up getting... He's going to end up with... He should get somewhere around 20 more delegates than Hillary, just from yesterday's voting. So that is important. It's not going to swing the election, but it certainly gives him some momentum back. Yeah, it wasn't a huge loss in Arizona, especially compared to his massive wins in both Idaho and Utah. He's got favorable states coming up, so I would say he's got to be the biggest winner. And because I think Trump could have been the biggest winner if Cruz was not able to break 50%, but as I just showed in the results, he easily broke 50%, won by over 50% more than Kasich, who got second. Trump got third, so that became a winner-take-all state. He got 40 delegates, only lost by a total of 18 yesterday. So Trump still increased his delegate lead, but not by the amount that he was possible for him. And so it's not a huge win for him. It's a slight win, but it's also not a huge lose for Cruz. And Hillary still is going to end up with over 50 delegates, so she's also not the biggest loser, which brings me to the biggest loser, which is undoubtedly John Kasich. There's no question that he is the biggest loser from yesterday's voting. He got 0 delegates. 0 delegates. That's, I mean, you can't get much more obvious as the big loser of the day than to get 0 delegates. I mean, there were only 2 states voting on the Republican side, but still. I mean, there's no way he's not competing. He wasn't anywhere close in either state. And there's no reason to believe going forward that he realistically has a chance of winning the nomination. So I don't know that he will drop out, but there's going to be pressure on him. And it would absolutely make sense for him to drop out. And yeah, he clearly had the worst performance of anyone yesterday. Not that it is surprising, because I didn't think he had a realistic chance of doing much yesterday. But the fact that Cruz got over 50% in Utah and turned it into a winner-take-all state, got all the delegates there, he would have, obviously John Kasich would have liked to have gotten something yesterday. So huge loss for him. It was a pretty big win for Bernie Sanders, bigger than I expected. So that's why they're my winner and loser. Yeah, I guess the impact is, I don't think it's a big impact. The biggest impact, I think, is that there will be more pressure on John Kasich to get out of the race. That's the biggest thing that should come out of this. Bernie Sanders is going to gain some momentum, but it's not enough to change the tide of the election. It's not going to make a major change. It's not like now all of a sudden, it's shifted from more likely to be Hillary to more likely to be Bernie just because he did better yesterday. But he is regaining some momentum after disappointing elections for the Bernie Sanders campaign last Tuesday. So it's a win for him. Biggest impact on either side is pressure on John Kasich to get out. He is irrelevant at this point. That's just the way it is. He can't he has no realistic path. Even if there's a contested convention, they can't really justify making him, forcing him on the Republican Party when they so clearly do not want him as their nominee. So yeah, that's basically my take on it. Like I said, I got each of them right, but I didn't get the margins right. Let me know what you guys think about my predictions, what you thought was going to happen, and whether you were closer than I was, or anything you're surprised about, or impacts you think it'll have that I haven't mentioned. Comment down below, like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.